First and foremost, well done to the Houston Texans. Well done to you guys. Your defense is legit, man. I will be rooting for you throughout the entire playoffs. You're a very fun team to watch. Well done. You earned this win. I'm going to be rooting for you. Now, I was wondering why all week I didn't have to think about what I was going to say in this video. And it's because I knew I didn't have to think. I knew I didn't have to think about what was going to be said in this video. If you live under a rock, the Steelers season ends with a whimper, to say the least, against the Houston Texans. Right now, the score right now is 31-6. I cannot bring myself to watch the rest of that game right now. I will do that probably after this. I have the TV paused, but right now the score is 31-6. Texans just got a pick six. The game is over, right? There are, I think, 2.5 minutes left. So let's talk about it. First and foremost, I'll get to Tomlin and the coaching staff later. But let's talk about this game first. The offense was non-existent. And I knew it was going to be a long day. After DK Metcalf dropped an easy pass, just dropped it for no reason. Early on in the game, I think it was on like the third drive, the Steelers had just... I knew it was going to be a long game after that. You paid that guy $150 million, and he's going to be dropping balls like that. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I like this hat whenever the Steelers score a touchdown in the playoffs. Didn't get much use tonight, needless to say. Yeah, the offense was useless. I think I might have mentioned this in my recap, in my preview video. Maybe I didn't. If not, I meant to. I knew the Steelers couldn't play how they usually do. I knew they would have to change things up against this really good Texans defense who is very good at tackling. I knew they would have to not... Because the Steelers' offense all season long just relies on just dumping it off to, say, Kenneth Gainwell or Jalen Warren, and then hoping they make a guy or two miss so they can cut up the field. That's been the Steelers' offense most of the season. I knew that wasn't going to work in this game, and it did not at all. The Texans, very good tackling team, and it showed in this game. It really did. The offensive line has been better. Not tonight. Tonight they were terrible. Troy Fautanu, he's been pretty good for most of the season, you know? He's been pretty good. He had a rough game in this one. And I know it was a tough matchup against Danielle Hunter. I get that. That dude is a monster. But he had a rough game. Dylan Cook had a rough game. Mason McCormick had a rough game. Sumalo, there was a play where he just got absolutely bulldozed. It was bad. It was a bad thing. And the game just ended. Steelers didn't even score a touchdown. I guess I'll talk about other things. Aaron Rodgers. He's been the best quarterback we've had since Ben Roethlisberger. Make of that what you will. He wasn't a total disaster. Kenny Pickett was a disaster. Mitchell Trubisky, he was a disaster. Russell Wilson, he was a mess. He wasn't a total disaster until tonight. Now, there have been a couple games this season where he really showed his age. That Chargers game, he looked really bad. That Bills game, he was bad. I know he was hurt in that game, in all fairness, but didn't look great. If this is the end for Aaron Rodgers, he hangs up or doesn't want to play another season in Pittsburgh, uh, I tip my cap to you. Incredible career, and I hope you enjoy retirement. Do I want him on this team next year? It's not a good offseason to need a quarterback. I'll say that. As for this game in particular, defense. What more could you ask from him? The Steelers won the turnover battle. CJ Stroud didn't even play well. I mean, the Texans offense scored what 10 points until the final freaking 8 minutes or whatever. I mean, the defense played out of their minds, man. TJ Watt still doesn't have a playoff win in his career, and that is a very sad sentence. I apologize for the lighting. I don't have any power in my room right now, so I'm using a lamp from an extension cord. Whew, yeah, not a good end to the season there. I wanted to believe in this team. I liked the matchup. I knew it was going to be a tall task. That defense, it's really good. CJ Stroud didn't even play well. The Steelers won the turnover battle. Defense let up 17 points, man. That that should be good enough to win a game. The offense gave up more points than this defense. Pathetic. The offense technically scored 3 points because one of those field goals they scored was off of a turnover that they got in the red zone. They got 4 yards on that drive. Pathetic. Not capitalizing on the turnovers, man. As for the Steelers, and in regards to the coaching staff, look, I've said that Mike Tomlin, I've been a Mike Tomlin defender, one of the few out there. But I've also said I would be open to the idea of a coaching change. However, Steelers aren't going to fire Mike Tomlin. He has one more year on his contract. So if I had to take a guess, I'd say the Steelers probably let him coach out the last year of that contract. And then we'll see what happens from there. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? My guess is that he's going to be on the sidelines for the Steelers next year, as of right now. Arthur Smith, I hope the Titans hire him. I mean, he's an upgrade over Matt Canada and Randy Fichtner. He's the best offensive coordinator we've had since Todd Haley, which isn't saying much, but he is. Terrell Austin, I don't want him anywhere near here. You know what? Real quick, let's take a trip in our way back, our DeLorean, other time travel movie references, and let's go back. to the last playoff win that the Steelers had. It was January of 2017. They had beaten the Chiefs, 6 field goals from Boz. Eric Fisher gets a holding penalty on a 2-point conversion there at the end of the game after the Chiefs convert. They get backed up to the 12. Steelers are able to stop him. And they win that game 18-16. Very next week, they get blown out by the Patriots. Fast forward next season. Fast forward to the next season, 2018 playoffs. You let Blake Bortles put 45 points on your team. I know one of those was a defensive touchdown, but still. 45 points to the Jaguars. Next season, you miss the playoffs after Ben Roethlisberger leads the league in passing yards. Very next year, 2019, you miss the playoffs. Big Ben suffers an elbow injury, misses the entire season. 2020 season, you start the season off 11-0. You lose 5 of your last 6. And you get first rounded by the Cleveland Browns at home. 2021, Big Ben's last ride. You barely make the playoffs. And you get crushed by the Chiefs on the road. Very next season, Big Ben retires. Draft Kenny Pickett. Hope he can be the savior. You miss the playoffs, go 8-8. Maybe it was 9-8. Whenever it was. Next season, you make the playoffs. Mason Rudolph is your starting quarterback. He wins you 3 straight games heading into the playoffs. You get blown out by the Bills in the wild card. Next season, Mason Rudolph goes to free agency. You bring in Russell Wilson, you bring in Justin Fields. You're hoping one of them can turn the franchise around. Get blown out in the wild card by the Ravens. Very next season, you bring in Aaron Rodgers. You send Justin Fields and Russell Wilson out the door. You bring in Aaron Rodgers. You're hoping, yes, this is the time. He is going to turn this franchise around. You get blown out in the wild card by the Texans. That is 9 years. It's going to be 10 next year. There are only 2 constants. In that time, you've had 2 defensive coordinators, 3 offensive coordinators, 2 GMs. There are 2 constants. Head coach and the owner. As I said, Mike Tomlin, he's not going anywhere. Don't even get your hopes up, if I had to take a guess. Art Rooney. He took the team over in 2017, but he's very cheap. He is very, very cheap. Those are the only 2 constants. Aside from guys like Cam Hayward and Chris Boswell and TJ Watt, but they're obviously not the problem here. This is a core issue. Problem is that nothing is going to change. The problem is that the Steelers fancy themselves as Super Bowl contenders when they're not. This is not a Super Bowl roster. The linebackers, they're not great. The offensive line, they played well down the stretch. Tonight they were terrible. Awful. Safety position is a bit leaky. I know Deshaun Elliott was hurt. You put Jalen Ramsey there. Still not good enough. What do you do? What do you do? Sure, you could fire Mike Tomlin, but what would that do? I know fans are like, yeah, we need to go 3-14 and tank for a good draft pick, get a good quarterback. That's what we need to do. Couple things. One, Steelers are never going to do that. Not willingly. And two, that would be in an ideal world that you suck for a year or two, you get your franchise quarterback in the draft, and then you turn into, the Patriots with Drake May. That is the ideal world. But there's also the more realistic reality of the situation. You suck for a year. Let's say, for example, you go 3-14, you get the first overall draft pick. And there's this quarterback you really like, but he doesn't pan out. Ask the Jets how that's gone. They haven't made the playoffs since 2010. Ask the Titans if they like being 3-14. Ask the Giants if they like being 4-11 or whatever they were this season. It sucks being at the bottom. Do you really want that? Especially because it's not even a guarantee you're going to get back out of the bottom. Ask the Jets how that's gone. Ask the Browns how that's gone. When you're in a hole, it's hard to get out of it. You got to get super lucky. You got to hit on a bunch of draft picks, free agent signings. Steelers have a lot of draft capital, so we'll see if they decide to do anything at the draft. But, of course, regardless of what happens this offseason, I'll be here recapping all of it. Disappointing end of the season, but it's also kind of one that I think everyone saw coming. I know I picked the Steelers to win. That was just me trying to be hopeful. But anyways, as I said, well done, Texans. You really earned this one. I'll be rooting for you in the playoffs. But that's it for this one. Just a disappointing end of the season. But, oh well. Go Steelers, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.